All right, so here's what we need to do is we need to identify how many active we have or how many involved we have. And then let's slow things down and start doing a systematic approach or clearing on each street depth.
Hey, stay inside. Stay inside. Inside. Hey, what?
Not moving! Not moving! Ceasefire! Ceasefire!
Suspects down. Suspects down.
Ceasefire! Turned like he's been turned for us. Get ready. Give me team up here!
In Palm Bay, Florida, on January 28, 2024, a fatal altercation between a 24-year-old man and a 60-year-old priest uncovered some sinister and truly dark crimes that sent shockwaves through the community. With the exception of a DUI in the past, Kapas was an ordinary man like any other, and yet, on that morning in January, he felt compelled to and not only Father Robert Bob Hoeffner, age 76, but also the priest's sister, Sally Hoeffner, age 69, and his own grandfather, 78-year-old William Kapas.
Somebody else was outside. He was like, oh,
he said
crap.
The guy was an old man with a white beard, and he said he had a black beard and a black shirt.
Okay. All right.
And he said, I didn't, because my other son said, did you see the gun? He said, no, but he was right there, and he had his hand like this, and he shot him in the brains.
Okay.
Not just that, he also shot and wounded 2 Palm Bay police officers before he was eventually subdued by the police force.
926, 923, 961, and then 473 Fogle is where the incident began and also possible crime scene.
We have the suspect and another victim.
We're out looking for other victims to see if there are any.
Signal 7, it's just a suspect.
One that we know of. Yes. Yes.
When the police had responded to a domestic disturbance at a residence on Forgle Avenue Northeast, they could have hardly expected violence of such degree, wherein 2 of their officers, Stephen Ball and Nicholas Franz, were wounded by Kapas.
We got one shot in the arm, one shot in the leg. It's Ball. You know Ball. Super tall guy. He's Aid Sage glasses.
Okay.
And then we got one in the leg.
Who's the other?
Franz is kind of new.
Franz and Ball.
Yeah.
Okay. And then.
But they're okay.
You got the suspect, 1 victim. Or how many victims?
I don't know.
It only came to an end when Kapas himself was shot by the police.
We got him.
I got a leak on this side.
Hold on.
He got shot.
All right.
Man, we're still working on doing other stuff.
No, movement.
Front okay?
Hang on.
Jump. Go here. I don't know, man.
Drag him up on shore.
Hold on. It's got like copper wire in it.
Drag him up on shore.
Make sure his hands are empty, bro.
Later that day, upon investigation, it was found that Kapas had been perusing a vehicle that was stashed with ammunition, registered to retired priest Father Bob, who happened to be one of the victims. And upon being able to trace him to his home, the police found the bodies of Father Bob and his sister Sally at their Kamloops Street residence, long gone. The prime suspect was surely the only perpetrator and the only missing piece of the puzzle. Left to be uncovered was the motive. What could have possibly driven Kapas to take such an extreme step?
And now I finally have a report which confirms what Brandon's family told me they suspected all along. In this 76-page case report, Brandon's family told police that although Brandon never said anything, they believed that Father Bob Hoeffner used him.
That missing puzzle piece was released later on in January in the form of a 76-page long report that went into detail regarding the relationship between Hoeffner and Kapas. It was heavily implied that Kapas had been abused by Father Bob, who had been a priest at St. Joseph Catholic School, Kapas's alma mater. In a conversation with Kapas' aunt, she revealed some strange details surrounding the relationship that Kapas had with Hoeffner, lending even more credibility to the SA theory.
He had his speculations, or
he thinks, so I feel like it's a perfect storm. I think that, and by no means is what I'm saying, an excuse for Brandon.
I understand, yeah.
But for years, I feel like, unfortunately, the priest that he killed was grooming him. We felt for years that he had an inappropriate relationship with my nephew. And he was actually asked to not involve himself with the family anymore because of that relationship.
Okay.
His aunt also revealed that there was a certain degree of financial involvement that Kapas had with Hoeffner, possibly as a result of being groomed. She also mentioned how Kapas was basically pushed to lease Hoeffner's car.
And they have also the extra key that he had. Okay. But because they wouldn't allow him to outright purchase it, he had to lease it. His plan was for Brandon, he was going to pay it off in 6 months. And Father Bib paid all that. He also paid to put him in school. He was paying for that.
What school?
Eastern. He was supposed to start in like 2 weeks. His first class was like in the beginning of February. And he would randomly leave checks and envelopes on our front door. One day, I can speak 100% on this, was one day he came, and I didn't like the man. He made me feel uneasy, so I never answered the door when he would come. He came knocking the door, nobody answered, and he left a door envelope wedged in the door. When I opened it up, because I was nosy, it was a $1,000 check to Brandon. For what purpose, I couldn't tell you. There's no reason that man needed to give him money, because he had a roof over his head, knife bed, and he lived in my house. Yeah. So I don't know. There's so many things that are inappropriate about that. It was weird because I felt like Brandon knew something wasn't okay with that situation, but somehow he still kept getting dragged in, which is where I think the money was involved. I think that Father Bob giving him the money and like him doing nice things for him made him feel like, well, maybe he's not that bad. I mean, I can't really say 100% because obviously he's not here anymore, but something wasn't right.
And apparently Hoeffner had always had an unnatural preference for Kapas, which the family had taken note of earlier too, since Kapas was just 14.
Came over, he always wanted to know what Brandon was doing, and Brandon had gone through a cancer situation. He had to go to the Children's Hospital in Orlando a lot, and Father Bob stepped up and was trying to like take him to and from appointments and things like that. And there was one appointment where he had to go and have the mass from his leg removed, and they were in he had to change. It was my sister and Father Bob in the room. They had to change. He had to obviously get naked to put the gown on. And Amber's like, okay, well, let's leave the room. Father Bob wouldn't leave. So then she had to get between them and kind of hold the gown up so that Father Bob couldn't see Brandon naked because he wasn't comfortable. And after that point, Amber said, I'm not comfortable with you being around. Something's not right. That's not a behavior you should have.
How old was Brandon at that time?
And perhaps the most dark and inexplicable thing that Hoeffner made Kapas do, as mentioned by his aunt, was this.
But one of the things he would tell us was that Father Bob would ask Brandon to write very graphic stories about people being, and then he would pay him for those stories. And my nephew somehow at one point had gotten burnt by a soldering iron on his back end, and that Father Bob would pay him to allow him to touch it and look at it. So,
alongside all of these allegations against Hoeffner, there was also the fact that, unlike in most cases, he was not even allowed to stay on campus or be around the parish due to other complaints against him.
When they asked him to leave, he was not allowed to come back to the parish because there were people that had made accusations against him for being inappropriate. I don't know specifically who.
Okay.
I do know that because that information wasn't given, but my sister worked at the church, and I do remember her saying that he was not allowed to come back because there were issues.
Do you know who made that ultimate decision and told him that he could
I
come
believe
back?
It was the diocese because yeah, Father Jeremiah, who was the pastor, he's not there now, he's moved to a new parish, but he was basically brought in as a fixer. He was brought in to fix the problems that were going on, and when he came in, I think between him and the diocese, it was, you are not allowed to come back to this parish. And he wasn't. He couldn't, because normally when a priest retires, they're allowed to stay on campus as an extra hand, you know, like, because everybody knows him, everybody loves him.
Want him there.
He couldn't even be in the parking lot like he was.
So since he retired, he hasn't had any affiliation or relation towards that school at all?
At all.
Besides, there were others too who made allegations of abuse against Hoeffner, including another man who had happened to live in close proximity to Hoeffner in his childhood.
Okay, and you said you were how old at this time?
I was 16 when I got in trouble with my mom, and she kicked me out, and she sent me over there to live with him because we live in that same neighborhood.
Okay, and then you lived there with Robert Hoeffner, and how many other kids were in there?
It was 2 other kids when I lived there.
And then was Robert
Hoeffner
the only one residing there as an adult?
No, him and Sally were living there. Him and his sister, both of them living there. All the way.
So did he ever try to have inappropriate relations with you?
Yeah, he tried. This was his motto. Let me give the kids a massage, and that's what he would start it. And he would try to lay us down and give us a massage in the back while he rubbed himself against us. Pretty much.
And Sally, Hoeffner's sister, was seemingly aware of her brother's questionable and downright illegal tendencies, yet did almost close to nothing about it.
Go and have like dinner at their houses, and he would always be with Sally and Bob, always. And he said that at one point they had drank too much and they didn't want to drive him home. So Father Bob said he could stay in the spare bedroom, and Sally said no, he could stay on the couch. And Father Bob was fighting that he could stay in the spare bedroom. And she said, no, Bob, you remember what happened last time? We're not doing that again. And Brandon,
where does Sally fit in all this? I mean, was she involved in any of this?
She would just sit there and watch the whole thing happen.
She would watch Bob give all these massages to these kids?
Yep.
Okay.
She would be standing right there.
Did she ever attempt to do the same thing?
No, she didn't. No.
Okay.
This, along with everything else, was indisputable evidence that there had been something extremely problematic going on with Hoeffner. Kapas had also sent Hoeffner a cryptic text message the night before the shootings that could be seen as a warning, which read, "You have woken up all of Egypt. Ancient ones know what you have done."
The night before the shooting, the police say that Brandon texted Father Bob that he was coming over. "You have woken up all of Egypt. Ancient ones knows what you have done."
These implications of SA against Father Bob were backed up by the fact that a former classmate also alleged inappropriate behavior by Hoeffner. Not only that, but in May 2025, Sean Teuber filed a $25 million lawsuit against the Diocese of Orlando, alleging negligence in connection with abuse he suffered as a child at the hands of Hoeffner.
Forward would protect a lot of us. I just want to heal and move on in a way.
Teuber claimed he was abused between 2012 and 2014 while serving as an altar boy at St. Joseph Catholic School.
I read another piece of disturbing evidence. Investigators went into Father Bob's office where they say they found a folder with notes about abuse. There were 46 white pages of handwritten notes consisting of stories of child sexual abuse.
And in the form of the most horrific and downright disturbing pieces of evidence, investigators found a folder containing 46 handwritten pages detailing stories of child sexual abuse at Hoeffner's home. 3 lives lost and a community left reeling in shock. Whether Brandon Kapas was a cold-blooded killer or just an unfortunate product of deep-rooted unspoken trauma is the question that remains to be answered to this day.